Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Property Chat with Lucy. I hope wherever you are, you're doing well, you're doing fantastic. My good name is Lucy Thuo. I'm a commercial realtor, a mentor in the real estate space, and a very intentional mom, all right? Now, let me just say for the past couple of years in the space where I'm doing mentorship, a lot of people are yearning to hear my story of how things have been in this freelancing space of real estate. I may not go to the start of how I got myself in real estate. I'm going to share a link just for you to listening on how I started my journey or how I found myself in this space. But I wanted to share my journey in the real estate space as an entrepreneur. You know, I meet people and they think I have everything figured out. But let me just say this. When I started off as a realtor, I had not planned to get myself to where I am, right? And I hope by end of this story, my journey will inspire you to be motivated, to just believe in yourself and go after what your heart desires, all right? Now, let me just start one of the things that really struck in me when I started is just the element of how people will not trust you when you actually share your ideas with them. I want you to have that at the back of your mind as I share my story. Now, I'm going to go back in 2016. I was still employed. And at this point, I think something just speaks to you when you want to try something new. I've always been a go-getter. I've always been very entrepreneurial. And I had this thing burning in me in real estate. And I asked myself, what could actually go wrong if I started my journey to just see what things could look like? So in 2016, I took a huge leap of faith to share this with my family that I wanted to leave the full-time employment and start the journey of just trying out real estate. And I remember back then, I didn't have a name. We had traveled to, or rather outside, and we stayed in this hotel that was called Park Grand. And it was amazing. And I remember just chatting my husband and saying, when you go back home, let's just have our company as Park Grand Investments, all right? That's where I started. Let me just say, when you feel like just starting something, just start. So that's how my real estate journey started, from that company, Park Grant Investments. And the vision wasn't just real estate. I've just mentioned I was very entrepreneurial, and I thought this could be an umbrella company where I could do a couple of our things together, or rather as a family, and just umbrella it under that company. So fast forward 2017, I just started. I took a leap of faith. But then 2017, 2018, I was just out here talking to people, letting people know that if you need help with real estate, then I'm here. But I was very good at commercial real estate. And this is more on leasing, because that's where I did my I would say my experience was based on just commercial real estate. So 2017, 2018, I got myself involved in now retail extensively. I put a focus on commercial, but then also retail is commercial in nature. And I did that for 3 years. Fortunately, I got into my motherhood journey, and this was actually at the start of 2018. Yeah, 2018, I got into my motherhood journey. And that's when now it hit me. This could be something that I need to take seriously. Yeah, this girl seated here, one of the businesses that I started during that phase was still selling human hair wigs. And I know maybe a couple of you have bought hair from me. Yeah, and I was a salon owner. If you've ever come to my salon, thank you so much. But yeah, in that space of mentorship, not mentorship, but motherhood, I strongly felt like I could go into real estate full time, because Park Grant investment was just for family businesses. And then I thought, okay, fine, let me figure this out. What do I know? Who can be my potential client? And I remember a client reaching out to me to do a market study during that phase. During this time as well, I was doing my master's. So I am running hair business, I am running real estate, and I'm also starting off my, a very unfamiliar phase of or territory, motherhood. One day, let me just give this narrative. One day, a client came and bought, and this, I was sending her from my house. So a client came in and bought 3 wigs at a go. And I remember just having all this money in my hand. And the same week, I got not a listing per se, but this instruction where I did a market study and I was paid around 300,000. So I looked at the hustle I've put in my hair business, and also this was just knowledge-based, where a client just reached out, I gave a proposal, and I got to I got commissioned for this work, 300,000. And that opened my eyes. And I started now actively thinking, Lucy, you need now to position yourself. I didn't know about branding back in the day. So I just, blindly creating content, but that's when I started doing Property Chat with Lucy, positioning myself from a point of knowledge, because I knew people can see something in me that I can't see in myself. So I wanted to understand what that thing was, all right? So 2019, 2020, COVID happened, all right? And as people would say, COVID was the toughest time, but let me tell you, that is a time that I knew indeed real estate was a thing for me. I had clients because we were so confined in our spaces. If you go into my page, 2020, I was a bit active on Instagram. And I remember when I started doing this, my account was like 1,000 followers. There's a client who reached out to me from Switzerland, and they told me, Lucy, I want to relocate. And one of the things I asked was, why would you trust me to get you a property here? You've never met me. So what really gives you this confidence to, to deal with me, knowing how our real estate market is? And the response I got from this client, and I remember, if you're watching this, you can remember your exact words. You did tell me, or rather the client told me, you look, from the face value of things, I've gone through your Instagram page, you actually look like someone I can trust. And I asked why. I posted a photo of me and my family on my page, and they just told me, people who ideally are on social media, they are open about everything. And at time, you posted your family, and I know your family person, and I think you really can't con me. Wait a minute. That statement there caught me. And this time I was, I think, 8 months pregnant. So I committed to actually help my client relocate. And this was a total new, I think this was the second instruction I'd actually closed. So my client gave me a list of the locations he was looking out to come and settle. And we worked together. he came in, I took care of his real estate needs, short stay accommodation, a couple of areas where we looked at, and he eventually closed on one of the properties I showed him. And that's when it clicked to me, you can actually do this, Lucy. This is something that you have the knowledge, you just need to brand yourself. You have what it takes to give you what you want to do. Remember, I did mention something when I started. People will always shut down your ideas. People will never ideally be open, genuinely at times, if they can see you can go far, but then when you share with them, they would probably be... I remember when I started on social media, I had a lot of small talks around it. What are you doing on social media? You're just talking too much on social media. And I knew in my head what I was doing. All right. So we closed property number 1 and I got a hefty check. I remember that was during COVID. Things are bad and you've been paid this big check. And I was just like, okay, Lucy, we need to, there's a meme I shared. If my love language, if I close a deal, I want to chase another deal. All right. So yeah, that moment was really, really, really amazing. So this time it's COVID, and I remember I started my hair business in the house. Then I took a leap of faith, Q4 of 2019, to open a salon. And I can remember it was on Q4 of 2019, 27th of March. I opened, and Q1 of 2020, COVID happened and business went down. I was in arrears. I always say perhaps during this time COVID happened, perhaps God was just telling me, this is not you. This is not your space. You need to, just move. But I didn't. I looked at the employees that were just relying on me for their livelihood, and that business was just making losses over and over. And yeah, one way or another, God made it happen. I sold the business and I reinstated myself financially. Now, let's just go back to my space in the real estate space, or rather my journey in the real estate space. So I've closed this apartment with my client, and I get so connected to even get a storage space with one of the biggest storage companies for his household goods. And after that, you won't believe what happened. We had to sit down, think about a portfolio building of my client. And out of it, I felt so empowered. Like there's a feeling that you get when people just come to you and they can't make a move if they don't consult you. And that was my moment. And I remember 2020, I got my second child. And now my motherhood journey was a bit more involving, having 2 kids. And I have seen what real estate can do as a mom. I have flexibility with my kids. And 2021, 2022, I was just working on building up on myself. I was doing my master's, and also I did all my certifications. And I remember in 2023, it was a wake-up call for me, where now I thought, if you want to build something solid, you can't just think of it as a side hustle. You need to think of it as a business that needs strategy, that needs your effort, that needs your input, and every beam of you need to get involved in it. So if you're out there and you're doing real estate as a side hustle, it could be the reason why you're not picking up. Because 2021, 2022, I actually got that in my head. you are doing real estate as a side hustle. And I remember scouting out for a brand strategist, and my brand strategist brought in an image consultant, and we had this, brainstorming meeting that they did actually make me know who I want to be in 5 years, right? And that meeting was a changing game for me. But I'll tell you, when you are about to make the best decision, or when God is about to elevate you, that's when the devil takes chances to just put you down. I remember in 2023, right before the shoot date, I went through the toughest moment of my life. And that episode I went through, it's what really made me know I'm actually in the right track. I want you to hold that thought there. I take you back 3 months to that position. I was in the space where in 2023, I got to sit down and think, I am not going to transact business in the name of background investment. I want a long-lasting name. And I started praying about it. And I remember having a conversation with my husband and telling my husband, I think I'm getting more business. So anytime I share an invoice, people are not resonating with background investment with FutureWise, or rather with real estate. FutureWise was not in this space at this point. And I called my graphics consultant at that time, and I told him, can you help me come up with some few names? And one of the names I had was Keystone, because when I was in my former workplace, I was managing a property called Keystone on Riverside, and I shared Keystone name with my mentor, and she, at that minute, I didn't feel like she was really helping me in terms of, it's like the way I could get a name, go to my mentor, let's brainstorm this, is this okay? And even a couple of my mentors, I'd reached out to them and I'd shared my vision of, I want to start an agency. Some of them, let me just say, none of them believed in me. The few people that believed in my vision was my husband and my family, immediate family. And at that point, I came to realize that some of these things we have in our hearts are not worth sharing. You need the spirit of discernment to know who you're sharing your things with. Let me just say that. So I resorted to prayer, to just pray about Keystone. I actually forwarded that name to my graphics person, and he did amazing logos and everything. But then there was just something about it. It didn't really feel like this is a name I want to go to. And I got into prayer and I prayed about it. I even told my mom, and I told my mom, let's pray about this. And I remember it was exactly 3:12 in the morning, a.m. in the morning. I got the name FutureWise in my dream. So I wrote this name down, FutureWise. And in the morning, I told my husband, I got a name. And the only thing I'm going to add to it is realtors, nothing else. And here's the thing. I've always been in this space of, this is a name that came to me when I was in uni. I wanted to mentor high school students. And that's the name that I had for mentorship. And it came to me again at this time when I was looking for a name for my agency. And I wrote it down, and it got confirmed this is the name. And I could feel that this is a name that is gonna go far. Mind you, at that time, I didn't have this mentorship thing in my head, but I just knew I want to have a future as realtors. I was in the space of commercial real estate. And then remember, this client I got, we had a sit down to just build up a portfolio journey, which means you're building real estate portfolio in the future from today. From a pool you've been told, this is the X amount, let's see how we can grow these funds. So it resonated to me, future means future. Everybody invests in real estate for the future. If I'm coming in to put in money, I'm investing for cash flow in future or equity growth in future. And I was like, wow, God is amazing. I think I was actually in the right path. Fast forward, this was actually at the start of 2022. 2022 when I got FutureWise and I registered FutureWise. And when I got that name registered, it started off as a business name. And then I thought of why would people come to FutureWise? It's because of Lucy Thuo, the brand. Because now I'd started sharing a bit of real estate as Lucy Thuo, and I now met the brand strategist and we talked about how we can link up Lucy with FutureWise and how this brand can grow. And let me tell you, you're in this space where you're very expectant in terms of your expectations about your dream. And I sat down and I thought, what a better way to get even to where I was if I looked back where it all started. Starting off from, I call it PGI, Grant Investments, and then COVID happened. That's when my business picked in terms of real estate transactions. But then also, God gives me this big name, because I can tell you, till today, I believe in this name called FutureWise. And I thought of now seeking professionals to guide me, understand branding. Because positioning, I knew I was very, very knowledgeable on real estate, but then also mentorship does not stop, or pouring in yourself does not stop. I still learn till today. Now, come May 2023, one of my parents gets sick and I spend so much money because I'm the firstborn, and at times, let me just say, as firstborns, we get a lot of responsibilities. And I'm working this and my dad gets sick. I spent quite a chunk of cash on his medical, and at this point I'm thinking, God is giving me like reasons why you need to actually go big on this brand. So I'm there thinking small and thinking, what's gonna happen if my dad gets sick again? Remember, I just mentioned, I was in a space where I thought now, when you grow close to God because of situationships, where everything you go through, you just pray to God to take you out of it. And in this space, I had this FutureWise realtors item that was really in my prayer line, in my prayer groups. And I remember just telling God, you can't give me money and then the next thing it's all wiped out. And my dad got out of the woods. He's okay. 3 months down the line, in October, I shot in October. I managed to now, like the scare with my dad, I told my mom, even you need to go get checked, because I don't want this like funny surprises every now and then and all that. Allow me to grab a tissue, guys, because what I'm about to share with you, it's a testimony in everything you're seeing around me and everything you have seen me out there, or rather Lucy Thuo, the brand. On I think 23rd of September, I got the worst news ever. And I just mentioned, I told my mom, you need to get tested because I don't want the surprises. The Lolo is as a firstborn daughter. I think people call it firstborn daughter syndrome. Yes. It was now catching up with me. And ideally, on 23rd of September, I got the worst news ever of my mom's diagnosis. And automatically, my world just shattered. Let me just say that. And this was like a few days to the shoot. I think 2 or 3 days to the shoot. I got the reports. Yes, we are all tech savvy. I went to Google and I got this nightmare kind of situations in terms of interpreting the reports. And I asked the doctor, can I just come for an interpretation of what all these reports are all about? Remember, this time I've not consulted my mom. I've not even called her. So I'm really in this situation just alone. So I walk into the doctor's office a day before my shoot. And I was really like, everything. If you remember my brand shoot, there was so much that went into it. There was a strategy meeting, making of my promotion outfits. They were all ready and we were all ready for the day. So I went to see my doctor a day before. And I just remember screaming and calling my closest family that were just near. Yeah. And it was the longest night of my life. What I didn't figure out at that moment is why me? Like, that was a common question. Why me? Why us? Why now? You know? And you have this many questions just lingering in your head. And I've been very prayerful in my life. And this is the worst moment where I couldn't even make a prayer for myself. And the person that I pray with, I can't even contact her because whatever I'm going through, it revolves around her. And I remember the doctor telling me, no, there's no need to worry. We just need to do some few. So my mom was checked in for a surgery like a week after that. But then I gained courage and I went in for the shoot. I remember that morning, my eyes were red. I walked into a chemist, I bought eye drops, I put into my eyes and I went for the shoot. And I did amazingly well. I just made that prayer in the morning. And I told God, we're in this together. I need courage. This is the funny thing as well. Anytime all the videos you've seen about, or rather I shoot, I do my own video scoots. So I had my scoots ready. I showed up, I did 5 scenes. 5 outfits, 5 scenes, and yeah. After the day, that evening, I disclosed to my crew what I was going through. And I just broke down and they all sympathized with me. And I felt like I can't just have a tough night like the previous night. Let me just share with these people, we had connected deeply with them. Because I always say, the people you work with, you have to connect with them somehow. They have to be your friends. So we had some level of connection and I felt vulnerable, I felt safe, and I shared with them what I was just going through. And this is after having an amazing time. It's just at the point where we were now like I was thanking them, and I wanted us to just toast a glass of champagne before we leave. And I just broke down again. So guys, from September, my life changed. I became a caregiver to the favorite person on this earth. And I wore that hat bravely, courageously. And I had this new business that I was starting. Moving forward, the last quarter of the year was really tough. I think in October, when I posted that video, it blew over my expectation, honestly. I didn't expect that kind of feedback. And for the first 1 week, we were at around 18K views. My inbox was, exploding. And I'm going through this. I'm having this exploding on my face, and I'm there asking God, what are you trying to tell me in this? And this is where now I was picking up. People transact in real estate because of you as a person. They come to your brand. And this is God was telling me, your brand is growing. And for a minute, I kind of lost it in the pain of what I was going behind the scenes. And ideally, I had these questions about how can I become you? And I'm there seated and asking myself, what do I tell these people? And I remember one day I just sat down and wrote into my notebook how my journey has been. It has not been smooth. There's been challenges, but what I picked up, there's always been hope. I'm a very positive person. And I told myself, even in this pain that I was going through, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And I couldn't fathom, how am I going to manage my mom's situation? How is I going to manage these ideas that are all coming into my head? But one thing I knew is that I was destined for greatness. And I did my shoots. It was a success. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Victor. You did an amazing job on that one. And in November, God planted a seed in me. All these inquiries I was getting out of that video, why don't you start mentorship class? Physically, I was not okay because of the pain I was going through. But then at this point, I talked to my husband about my vision, and he got someone who did a website for me. And I got enrollments by January. And I showed up in those classes as if nothing was happening. I've walked this journey 2 years down the line, 2023, 2024, showing up for FutureWise, showing up for Lucy, showing up for my husband, showing up for my kids, for my client, and for everything that I do revolving real estate and myself as a person. And one thing that I will tell you that I've picked up in these 2 years is the fact that when God gives you an idea, He has the journey figured out for you. Some of these things that I've done, or some of the businesses I've gotten over this period, I can't explain them. I have had special favor from God in terms of provision, in terms of peace, hope, good relationships. Even this time, I have dropped friends that I thought were friends. And God has been there for me. And I've been struggling. When will I ever share this? Because I meet people and you think that Lucy has everything figured out. All I can say is that God has everything figured out for me, right? So fast forward, FutureWise, a mentor hub, was also a prayer item that came up from FutureWise because we're here to build people, to build real estate careers, and to build my clients' dreams in the future. And what I always say is, even before you even think of starting, I might sound spiritual, but let me tell you guys, let me sound spiritual, but this is something that has really worked for me. You can imagine the entire of 2024, I had 3 working days. The other days were devoted to taking my mom to see doctors, and at some point I even had to travel out of the country, not one, and I made it happen. And I will tell you, it is in those painful where you have no hope left, God shows up in your situation. This brand, you see me in it. God has ordained it, and I am happy. I am glad that the right people are plugged in it. Even when I'm mentoring, I look at my mentorship journey from when I was a kid. And this is a story I think I've shared with one of my friends. I remember my dad asking me when I was a girl, what do you want to become, or who do you want to become when you grow up? And this was an outright answer. I wanted to be a professor. And I actually quoted the late Professor Saitoti. So when mentorship plugged in my head, I was like, okay, this is God actually aligning my vision when I was a young girl, because even after high school, I went back to volunteer in my former primary school. I've talked about FutureWise, where I wanted to go and mentor young high school students, because parents could call me and ask me, could you talk to my child just to give them an idea of what courses they could do in the higher, university institutions. And this is me living my purpose. I've always been a teacher. I know, like my best friend always tell me, Lucy, you're such a good teacher. I started off with my master classes. You believed in me. God made you believe in me. I opened my online platform. You plugged on it. You have continued calling and giving me business, and ideally reaching out for my mentorship classes. And I'm just like, this is God's sign telling me I am living my purpose. And if I can say something very confident today, is that whatever I'm doing right now, I am living my dream. I'm living my purpose, and God is in it. As I sit here, this journey of building my brand, it was a really painful journey. But at the end, when I was coming to open my office, I got a clean bill of health for my mom. And I think this was the right time to just share. Every season we go through in life has a purpose. And in that painful season, I learned more on the key things that really matter in my real estate business. Relationship, building trust, and being there for people. Being there, being loyal, being honest, being everything that you can ever be, and treating people with dignity. And that's something that I carry with me in this business, that I've learned through a very vulnerable episodes or season of this journey. So when you see me out there, just know that the dark moments never last. I'm in such a good space now. I didn't know God would take me through all that to get me where I am today. So I want my story to encourage someone out there. You're about to give up. You look at me. I wanted to share this vulnerable side of my life to just encourage anyone who is about to give up in whatever space that you're in. Especially entrepreneurship, it's a journey that never prepares us for what is ahead. Resilience, positivity, and hope in God will take you through the toughest seasons in your life. I hope my story will encourage you to push through your season. And at this point, I want to say thank you for listening to me. I didn't know I'll pull through this conversation strong, but with God, we're here. We have shared this story from a very, very vulnerable point, and I hope that you get encouraged. Just get to know no dark moment that lasts forever. And when people don't trust in you, believe in yourself. I think my anchorage in God is what has taken me to this point, where I never put my hope in people, because people will love a lot of face cards. And when you're about to grow, one of the indications I've realized, when things are really tough, that's when your blessing is about to happen. So FutureWise has been a blessing to me. FutureWise has been a learning moment for me. It has been a very monumental aspect of my life. And anytime I walk into my office, it reminds me of some of the things that I can't really forget about, where God has brought me from to where I am today. So this has been Lucy. You've never seen this side of me, but I hope when you meet me out there, just forget about it. All right. Let's say thank you to God. We are here. And for people who are looking forward to start your businesses, to start especially in real estate, let's connect. And also, I hope my story will encourage you. I hope to see you in my next video. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe, like, and share, or rather hit that notification button and share my video so a lot of people could get encouraged through my story. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. And I hope I didn't bore you. I hope to see you next time. Bye.